Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We're in the Montafon Valley in Austria, 10 different villages spread out across the valley floor. The most famous, probably the village of Schrunz, and that's up on the hill. The pictures you're seeing now for the second instalment this week of the Parallel World Cup, part of the FIS Snowboard World Cup. We had a parallel giant slalom in Carezza in Italy on Tuesday. Today's the turn of the parallel slalom, single run format. Used to be that the racers would have a run in the blue course followed by a run in the red, and the overall time would count. That's no longer the case. It's a single run format for the parallel slalom and parallel giant slalom World Cup races that we bring you every season here on Eurosport and Eurosport 2. And it's parallel slalom today. They've had the qualifiers earlier this morning. So we're down to the last 16 riders in the women's contest, the last 16 riders in the men's contest. They'll go head-to-head through to the quarterfinals, semis, and then the finals, the main event, the big final, and the consolation final. The whole process should take an hour or so. We'll bring it to you live in its entirety on a somewhat misty, murky day here in the Montafon Valley. Bit of snow around, not enough, but enough for the contest to go ahead. It's a little warm and wet, but we are ready to race. And after this break, the action begins.
Eurosport Player is the Eurosport multi-screen service. With Eurosport Player, watch Eurosport and Eurosport 2 live on all your favorite devices through a single subscription. Follow great sporting events live and on demand. Enjoy exclusive content featuring a variety of bonus channels. Eurosport Player, all sports, all emotions, all screens.
So welcome back to the Montafon Valley in the Vorarlberg region of Austria. The conditions are improving very slightly as I speak. The mist at the top of the course is just lifting, so we can see the very top of the course all the way down to the bottom. Austrian team just going through their final preparations. Lots of Austrian interest in this race in both the men's and the women's contest. And after success for Julia Dumovic in the Sochi Parallel Slalom Olympic competition, where she took gold last February, and Benjamin Karl, who took the bronze in the men's parallel slalom in Sochi, much expected of them. 1900 metres is the start altitude, dropping down to 1,827 metres over a vertical drop of 83 metres. Here's the lineup for the round of 16. Ina Meshik goes against Patricia Kummer, then Cobra against Jörg. Claudia Riegler is next up against Hilda Katrina Engeli, and that's the bottom half of the draw. Carstens against Kreiner, Schöffman against Boccaccini, Zavazina in an all-Russian encounter against Soboleva, and then Caroline Kalv is up against Isabella Ladbok. Caroline Kalv fresh off the back of second place in Tuesday's parallel giant slalom in Carezza. Almost ready to go here in the Montafon Valley. Not bad, actually. Snow conditions here in Montafon. It's not ideal in that it's quite warm, and the snow that's falling is a little wet and spring-like. Not really what we need at the start of the winter season, but it is an improving picture across the Alps. Let's hope the temperatures continue to drop and stabilise below zero, so we can get plenty of snowfall and the snow cannons can continue to make the artificial variety. Right, we're heading to the top to see Ina Meshik of Austria in the gate up against Patricia Kummer of Switzerland. Kummer, the World Cup champion at the end of 2014, at the end of the Parallel Slalom World Cup. She rides in the red course. Ina Meshik of Austria in blue. It's a single run format. One run to win it. Meshik of Austria in blue. Kummer of Switzerland in red. They're ready and they're racing in Montafon. Out of the gate and into this parallel slalom. So much tighter turns than we saw on Tuesday. And Meshik going nicely. Good accurate turns. Let's have a look at Patricia Kummer in the red course, see how close she is. Only getting the view of one rider, but it was the right call because Ina Meshik is in front of Patricia Kummer. Meshik has ridden well and will take the win. Ina Meshik through to the quarterfinals, representing the host nation, Austria. That's a solid start for her, and that's a bit of a shock. The defending World Cup parallel slalom champion is eliminated at the first hurdle. Ina Meshik through to the second round. The only thing she's guaranteed is that she will race against one of the Germans, because it's an all-German encounter coming up next as Selina Jörg goes up against Amelie Kober. Good riding from Ina Meshik. Nice to go early. Get a nice clean track. It will cut up very quickly here with the soft snow. But we're ready for the second race. Selina Jörg in blue, Amelie Kober in red, all German. Ina Meshik awaits in the quarterfinals. The winner of this one will go through to face her. Race number 2 is up and running here in Montafon. Jörg against Kober, an all-German encounter here. That's Selina Jörg. We'll ride with her for the middle part of the course. Now this is Amelie Kober. Selina Jörg had a pretty good contest on Tuesday in Kretza, where she finished 6th overall. Amelie Kober specialising in the shorter slalom discipline and taking the win here comfortably. So Kober is through. Amelie Kober will take on Ina Meshik in the first of the quarterfinals. Comfortable win in the end for Kober. And this is how she did it. Tight on the gates, keeping her body clear of the short side of the gate on that regular turn, on the front side turn, on the back side, taking out that soft short side of the gate. Hilda Katrina Engeli of Norway races against the veteran Austrian Claudia Riegler. Engeli in blue, Riegler in red, and they're racing in Montafon. The Norwegian Hilda Katrina Engeli in the blue course. Claudia Riegler, who must be in her 18th or 19th season, racing for Austria in the red course here. Engeli has the better start. Youth on her side, Hilda Katrina Engeli. Riegler's trying to come back and taking a risk or two. This is tight, but it's Engeli's race. Engeli through to the quarterfinals. So Claudia Riegler eliminated at the first hurdle today. There's another event coming up tomorrow. In fact, a team parallel slalom, which we'll have for you on Eurosport 2. Check out the website, yahoo.eurosport.com. This was initially scheduled to be a snowboard cross meeting here in Montafon, but no early snow, and the organisers were unable to build the course in time, so it was rapidly replaced with the parallel slalom. Race 4, Julia Dumovic, the Olympic champion, is up against Julie Zog of Switzerland. Dumovic in the blue course, the Austrian. Zog of Switzerland in red. The Olympic champion underway. Julia Dumovic beat Anka Carstens in the Sochi parallel slalom final race last February. Amelie Kober took the bronze. Kober already through. Let's see if the gold medalist Julia Dumovic can join her. She has half a gate's advantage over Julie Zog from Switzerland. Julia Dumovic riding nicely, and this will be her win. Another Austrian through. Julia Dumovic, the Olympic champion, takes her place in the second round, the quarterfinals here in the Montafon Valley. That's nice riding. Explosive start from Julia Dumovic. No messing around as she ripped it apart through the first 6 turns. Marion Kreiner of Austria goes in the next race. The Austrians already have Ina Meshik and Julia Dumovic through to the next round. Let's see if Marion Kreiner can join them. Marion Kreiner, the winner of Tuesday's FIS snowboard parallel giant slalom in Karetsa, so she wears the orange bib as the leader in the parallel standings. Kreiner of Austria out of the gate. Her opponent, Anke Carstens, the Olympic silver medalist. So it's 2 big races here. Tuesday's winner against the Olympic silver medalist. There she is, Carstens of Germany. Marion Kreiner against Anke Carstens, and this is turn for turn. Little mistake there from Carstens, and she skidded wide, and she's done it again, and that's opened the door for Marion Kreiner. Tuesday's winner backs it up with an early victory here. Kreiner through to the quarterfinals at the expense of the Olympic silver medalist. So the Austrians have a representative in all 3 of the quarterfinals so far. They might get a 4th one through as Sabina Schurfmann goes next against Carina Boccaccini of Italy, 4th in the Olympics. There's the World Cup leader, Marion Kreiner. So now, lots of support for Sabina Schurfmann. Her opponent, Carina Boccaccini. There's Schurfmann in the red course. Boccaccini goes in blue, the Italian. Number 23, Carina Boccaccini of Italy versus number 3, Sabina Schurfmann of Austria. Boccaccini fast out of the gate. Huge strength to haul herself forward. Then a couple of mistakes. Wild upper body movement from the Italian. We're seeing a much more solid riding style from Sabina Schurfmann, who's pushing hard now. Schurfmann looking for speed across the snow. Can the Austrians get a 4th representative in the quarterfinals here on home snow? It looks like it. It is Schurfmann's win by 1/100th of a second. My word, that was tight. But Sabina Schurfmann does enough to take her place to ride against fellow Austrian Marion Kreiner in quarterfinal number 3. The Austrians now with 4 of the 6 quarterfinal places available to them. That's all they'll get, because we've got 2 Russians next and then a Canadian and a German in the last of the heats. That was tight though, 1/100th of a second. They can't split them any tighter. Penultimate heat sees Natalia Soboleva riding against Elena Zavazina. Soboleva in blue, Zavazina in red. Heat 7, an all-Russian affair, is underway. Zavazina in the red course has made the more striking start. This is good, solid snowboarding from Elena Zavazina. But Soboleva is maintaining her speed through the turns and is now marginally in front. Zavazina fighting back, and Zavazina will take it. 0.32. Elena Zavazina through to quarterfinal number 4, where she will ride off against the winner of our last heat, Caroline Calve and Isabella Labutte, going head-to-head shortly. Elena Zavazina takes the win, though, at the expense of Natalia Soboleva in the all-Russian heat. Men's racing coming up next, and there'll be plenty of Russian interest there. Vic Wild, Andrei Sobolev and Stanislav Detkov, along with Konstantin Shipilov, all involved. Vic Wild, the double Olympic champion involved in the men's racing. But before we go to the men, let's watch the last of the women's races. Caroline Kalb of Canada up against Isabelle Laboc of Germany. Now, Kalb comes in full of confidence, having placed second in Italy in Tuesday's parallel giant slalom. Great win for Caroline Kalb. Over the shorter turns, let's see how she copes here with Isabelle Laboc, who's got lots of experience. Laboc, 10th in the Olympic parallel slalom, has the upper hand. Good slalom riding from the German, and Isabelle Laboc takes her place comfortably at the expense of Caroline Kalb. And she will ride against Elena Zavazina of Russia in round 2, the quarterfinals. So, first round complete for the women. Ina Meshik goes against Amelie Cobra in the quarterfinals in the top half of the draw. Hilda Katrina Engeli takes on the Olympic champion Julie Dumovic in quarterfinal number 2. Then the all-Austrian race, Marion Kreiner up against Sabina Schöffmann. And then Elena Zavazina, the only Russian left in the contest, takes on Isabelle Laboc of Germany. Confirmation of the way it lines up here. Top half of the draw, Meshik Cobra, then Engeli Dumovic. And in the bottom half, there's the all-Austrian matchup, Kreiner Schöffmann, and then Zavazina Laboc, quarter-final number 4. Here's the lineup for the men's heats. Lucas Matisse against Alexander Bergman, followed by Justin Reiter versus Zan Kozir. Then the all-Russian match. Vic Wild rides against Andrei Sobolev before Dufour and Felicetti do battle. Then the bottom half of the draw, Aaron March against Stanislav Detkov, Sebastian Kisslinger in an all-Austrian affair, which these guys will like, against Benny Carr. Then Fischnaller against Shipilov, and finally another all-Austrian race. Anton Unterkofler takes on Andy Promiger. That should be good. First up, though, Austrian interest in round 1 as Lucas Matisse rides against Alexander Bergman. There's the Austrian Lucas Matisse in the blue course. Alexander Bergman, his opponent, 13th on Tuesday. Lucas Matisse in the blue course on the left. Unfortunately, the snow has turned to sleet now, and it's getting a little wetter and softer. Look at this riding from Lucas Matisse, gliding from turn to turn as his opponent gets hooked up. Alexander Bergman grabbed the gate on his way through, and if Matisse stays on his feet with beautiful carved turns, then Bergman will miss out. Lucas Matisse through effortlessly. That was terrific showboat riding from Lucas Matisse. He is a spectacular snowboarder when he's in full flow, and he's defeated Alexander Bergman, who had a little encounter, got tangled up with one of the control gates midway through that first heat. That was the exit from the start gate for Lucas Matisse. I wonder if we'll see the mistake. I think it's here for Bergman. That was all right. Maybe the next one. No, that was cool too. Yeah, that was it. Left hand pulled the gate from out of its anchor point, and he was swiveling to stay on course. So a bit of a repair going on now. Zan Kozir goes up against Justin Reiter now. Zan Kozir second on Tuesday in Karetsa. Justin Reiter finished 6th on Tuesday. Reiter's in the blue course. Reiter of the USA in blue. Kozir of Slovenia, the Olympic silver medalist in parallel slalom, in the red course. Let's see if Reiter has the measure of the Slovenian here. Looks pretty good from Zan Kozir, making light work of this. And he's ahead of Justin Reiter. Reiter just has to watch now and hope that Kozir makes a mistake, but that's unlikely. And Kozir cruises through. Lovely ride from Zan Kozir of Slovenia. He takes his place to take on Lucas Matisse in quarterfinal number 1. That is an interesting lineup. So Kozir, who was second on Tuesday, progresses through round one here on Thursday in Montafon. Next up, Andrei Solovyev of Russia against Vic Wild. Wild in the red course to kick things off. All Russian affair. The Olympic champion against Andrei Solovyev. They're away. Solovyev in blue, Wild in red, double Olympic gold medalist. There's Andrei Solovyev. Nice carved terms, but Vic Wild is so much tighter on the gates, but he's in trouble. Wild, what a recovery. I thought we'd lost him there. He's opened the door for Solovyev, but don't discount Vic Wild. He will fight and scrap his way back in. Is it too late? Oh, Wild has done enough. What a recovery from Vic Wild. My word, he looked down and out. So Andrei Solovyev is ejected and dejected, I would imagine, because Wild really deserved to go out. Look at his twist and upper body. Bit of disco dancing to get himself back on the track. But when he did, he exploded, moved up a gear. Terrific stuff from Vic Wild. Sylvain Dufour takes on Mirko Felicetti now. Dufour of France in blue, Felicetti of Italy in red. Heat 4 is go. Felicetti of the Italian team. Dufour from France finished 5th in Karatsa on Tuesday. Felicetti didn't qualify for the round of 16, prefers the shorter turns, and he's making it pay here. Dufour fighting back, can't do anything about Felicetti's lead, and Mirko Felicetti of Italy is through to round 2. That's good riding from Mirko Felicetti. Vic Wild is his opponent in the next round. We've seen a lot of high-fiving from the Italian coaches. Nadia Ochner's third and Roland Fischnaller's win on Tuesday gave them plenty to celebrate, and they're off and running again here in Montafon. Back to the top, and they've got more interests as Aaron March comes out of the blue gate. He's up against Stanislav Detkov. Aaron March of Italy, Stan Detkov of Russia, racing here. Heat 5 underway. March has stolen a march over Detkov with a strong start, and Detkov is having to play catch-up here and is pushing hard. He's lost his goggles, having to adjust his eyewear. Doesn't seem to have affected him, but he's still coming from behind. Aaron March keeping it upright, staying on course, and does enough by 2/10. Aaron March through to the next round. More to enjoy for the Italian coaching team. And the Russians lose Stan Detkov at the first hurdle. This was March coming out of the gate. Smooth start, and this is where Detkov got a bit tied up. Had to move his hands up to his helmet and adjust his goggles. They were slipping down. And his helmet. All Austrian affair now. It's Kisslinger in blue up against Benjamin Karl in red. Karl, the Olympic bronze medalist in parallel slalom. Sebastian Kisslinger, his opponent. Kisslinger 7th on Tuesday. Karl 11th. Kisslinger in blue. Benjamin Karl, the most experienced of all the Austrians, in fact, just about of all the snowboarders on the tour at the moment. Benny Karl, there he is. He's got it all going on. He's riding well, but he's being matched all the way here by Kisslinger. Tough to call this one between these two as Karl takes it, as Kisslinger slides out of contention. Karl gets a little lucky there, but Benjamin Karl takes his place in quarter-final number 3, where he will ride against Aaron March of Italy. Well, Kisslinger was going nicely, and then this happened. Bounced back up, quick body check with his belly on the snow, bounced back up into the blue course, but the damage was done, and Karl had taken the win. So 2 Austrians through already. And there are two more Austrians left to go in the heats. They'll be against each other. That'll be the last heat. Next up, it's Roland Fischnaller against Konstantin Shipilov. Fischnaller, fresh off the back of victory in Tuesday's Parallel GS in Karetsa. There he is, Roland Fischnaller, wearing the World Cup leaders bib. That is his opponent, Konstantin Shipilov from Russia. They're ready to go in Montafon. Fischnaller with all the confidence that victory brings, but he won't underestimate Konstantin Shipilov, who's fast through the tighter turns, and in fact I think Shipilov has made the better start here. Needs to avoid just looking over to his right, and that might have cost him the chance to beat Roland Fischnaller here. Fischnaller's in control, and Shipilov made one mistake. That's all it takes, of course. And Roland Fischnaller is through to the quarterfinals, where he will ride against one of the Austrians whose race is coming next. It'll be Unterkofler against Promiger. Well, this is where we lost Shipilov. One mistake, high-sided over the tip of his board, and Fischnaller didn't need to be asked twice. More to celebrate for the Italians. They're easy to spot with that ITA written across their back. Drizzle continuing. Slightly depressing weather. Last race, Anton Unterkofler in blue against teammate Andy Promiger in red. An all-Austrian affair. Unterkofler versus Promiger. And they're racing Promiger 9th on Tuesday. Unterkofler, decent rider. You would put your money probably on Promiger through the slalom turns, but Unterkofler is holding his own here. This one's going to be tight. It's a 10th of a second in favour of Promiger. Promiger takes it, and he will ride against fellow Austrian Roland Fischnaller. So that is a matchup to savour as Andy Promiger progresses to face Fischnaller in the second round. The heats are over. We're down to the last 8 men and the last 8 women. Good riding, good racing so far. Confirmation that the host nation are very well represented. They've got 3 men and 4 women in the next round. Lucas Matisse will go against Zan Kazir. Vic Wild takes on Mirko Felicetti. That's in the top half of the draw, men's quarter-final lineup. On the second page, in the bottom half, it's Aaron March against Benjamin Karl. And then Roland Fischnaller, who I think I said was Austrian, but is, of course, Italian, is up against Andy Promiger. Ready for the quarter-finals now of the women's contest. And the lineup sees Ina Meshik of Austria take on Amelie Kober of Austria. Hans Pum is here to watch, head of the Austrian Ski and Snowboard Federation. Hilda Katrina Engeli is up against Yuli Dumovitz. Marion Kreiner is up against Sabina Schurfman in the all-Austrian affair. And then Elena Zavazina rides against Isabella Labok in the last of the quarterfinals. Russia against Germany. Back to the top, Ina Meshik in blue. Amelie Kober in red. Ready to go in the Montafon Snowboard World Cup Parallel Slalom. Ina Meshik against Amelie Kober, and they're racing. Meshik in blue for Austria. Kober in red for Germany. Kober's made the better start. Half a gate clear was re-ride now with the German. Wild upper body movement. Oh, she's a little wide on the course, but no way back in, I don't think, for Ina Meshik here. It'll take one more mistake from Koba to allow Meshik to win this, and it's not happening. Koba takes it by 2/10 and is through to the semi-final. Amelie Koba kept it together despite a couple of errors halfway down that run. Amelie Koba of Germany through. Ina Meshik out of the contest so far. Quarterfinal number 2 sees Hilda Katrina Engeli of Norway taking on Julie Dumovic, the Olympic champion from Austria. Dumovic in blue, Engeli in red, and they're set to go, and they're racing here in Montafon. Dumovic, the Olympic champion in the blue course for the host nation Austria, off to a strong start, but not as strong as Engeli, who was really swift out of the start gate. And Dumovic is getting bounced around by the rut, which is slowly forming in these soft snow conditions. Now they're back on level terms, just about. Engeli marginally in front. Dumovic desperately trying to fight back, but she's eliminated. And Hilda Katrina Engeli takes her place in semi-final number 1 to ride against Amelie Koba. So no luck so far for the Austrians. They've lost one from each of the quarterfinals, as Hilda Katrina Engeli has defeated the Olympic champion Julie Dumovic in some style. Well, they will have one semi-finalist because it's an all-Austrian quarterfinal coming up next, as Marion Kreiner takes on Sabine Schöffmann. Marion Kreiner in the blue course. The winner on Tuesday, the World Cup leader. Sabine Schöffmann, her opponent. Rain continues to pour it down right at the top of the track. Kreiner of Austria in blue, Schöffmann of Austria in red, ready to go in Montafon. They're set. They get the countdown, the red arrows turn green, and the race is off. Looking for a place in the semi-final. Kreiner, the World Cup leader, against Schöffmann. And Kreiner is out. Schöffmann will take the win. I'm not sure she's aware that her opponent has exited yet, and she's still pushing on good and hard. But she can afford to just stand up and take it easy now. Sabine Schöffmann takes the win, courtesy of an early exit from Marion Kreiner. This is where we lost the World Cup leader. Oof, not far away from colliding with her opponent there. Did well to avoid the collision. So Sabine Schöffmann is the only Austrian representative in the semi-finals for the women. Next up, Elena Zabazina of Russia takes on Isabella Labok of Germany. Here we go, Labok of Germany in blue, Zabazina of Russia in red for the last remaining semi-final berth. So Labok on the left of your screen will ride with her now, the German. Nice tight turns. Zabazina's been left behind somewhat, but can come good on the second half of these slalom courses and starts to accelerate now, the Russian. This is a good-looking finish from Elena Zabazina, and she will finish first. Elena Zabazina is in the semi-final. So Zabazina against Schöffmann will be the semi-final on the bottom half of the draw. As we take a look at Isabella Labok's snowboard. So confirmation of the lineup here. It'll be Kober against Engeli in the first semi-final. Then Montofon of Austria takes on Zavazina of Russia in semi-final number 2. The men's quarter-finals about to get underway here. Eight guys left in the contest in the driving rain. Lucas Matisse of Austria goes against Zan Kozir of Slovenia in round 1. Matisse in blue, Kozir in red. Kozir second on Tuesday. The Olympic silver medalist is going to be tough to beat, but Lucas Matisse has made a strong start. And watch the angles this man gets as he makes these turns effortlessly through the slalom gates. Beautiful to watch. Poetry in motion here. And Kozir has got his work cut out to mix it with Matisse. Matisse is letting them run. Kozir is going to take the win though. Just too good, Zan Kozir. And he takes it by half a second. The turn's just too overly rounded from Lucas Matisse, and he goes out. Zan Kozir is through, as he was on Tuesday, going all the way to the final where he was beaten in the parallel GS by Roland Fischnaller. We could have a repeat of that because Fischnaller is in quarterfinal number 4. We could have the same lineup as we did on Tuesday. For the moment, though, it's Zan Kozir who's the first semi-finalist to emerge. Well, Lucas Matisse, great to watch, but it just wasn't tight or fast enough. Now, Mirko Felicetti goes to Italy in the blue course against the Olympic champion Vic Wild. There's Felicetti, he's ready to race. Wild on the right of your screen, number 7. Felicetti with a better start, marginally. Wild a little adrift of the ideal racing line, and Felicetti is matching the Olympic champion turn for turn. Wild can see Felicetti, but Felicetti can see very little of Wild. Felicetti with the upper hand. Here comes Vic Wild. Vic Wild almost takes out Felicetti, who has to leap out of the way of the Russian's board. It won't matter to Mirko Felicetti. There was no contact, and Mirko Felicetti is through to the semi-finals. That's where we lost the Olympic champion. Had to take evasive action. In fact, both of them had to produce a little bit of escapology here to avoid a nasty collision. The Italian coach is having the best week with the first and third on Tuesday, and now another one through to the semi-finals here. Quarterfinal number 3. Benjamin Karl of Austria in red. Aaron March of Italy in blue. Will the Italian coaches have something else to celebrate, or will the old wise master Benjamin Karl have enough in the tank to get past Aaron March? They're ready to go in quarterfinal number 3, and they're racing. Karl quick out of the gate, but March was slightly faster and hits gate 4 just ahead of his opponent. Benjamin Karl has a good view of his opponent, the regular rider, with Aaron March unable to see too much of Benjamin Karl. Now he can see it because Karl's out in front. This is what the crowd came to see. Benny Karl giving a masterclass of slalom parallel racing, and he takes his place in the semi-final. Terrific stuff from Benjamin Karl of Austria. And he will now have a good look at the last race to see if it's Roland Fischnaller or Andy Promiger who await in the second semi-final. Great riding from Benny Karl. And he had to ride that one faking. Good stuff from Karl. Showing his good all-mountain skills. And through one of the gates backwards. Roland Fischnaller against Andy Promiger is a match to savour. Fischnaller in the red course, World Cup leader, having taken victory in Carezza on Tuesday. Promiger of Austria in the blue course. The Italian against the Austrian for the last available semi-final berth here in Montafon. Who's it going to be? Fischnaller is riding with all the confidence in the world, with the stripy pants on the right of your screen. He's ripping it up here. Roland Fischnaller having to fight and dig deep to maintain any sort of match with Roland Fischnaller, and Fischnaller's done enough as Promiger does a demolition job on the bottom part of the course. Fischnaller is through to his second semi-final in as many days. So Italians well represented, with Mirko Felicetti going in the first semi-final and Roland Fischnaller going in the second. So the Italians are once again guaranteed a podium place here. So the semi-finals are complete. I beg your pardon, the quarterfinals are complete, and the semi-final lineup sees Zan Kozir of Slovenia facing Mirko Felicetti, and then Benjamin Carl taking on Roland Fischnaller. Repairs underway to the course after Andy Promiger's face-first finish took out a couple of the control gates here. Waiting for the riders who are involved in the women's semi-finals to arrive at the top. They're getting a whisked back up there courtesy of the chairlift that you can see top left of your screen. Let's enjoy some of the highlights of the contest so far. So today really kicks off a packed weekend of winter sports here on Eurosport. Over on Eurosport 1 a little later, we've got Mike and Patrick sharpening their pencils, ready to bring you live coverage of the women's sprint biathlon in Pokljuka. Figure skating a little later over on Eurosport 2 as well. And we have a full program of alpine skiing coming up this weekend as well. We were hoping to bring you live coverage of the Val d'Isère women's training race tomorrow. Training will go ahead, but there's no coverage, so you'll have to wait for Saturday's downhill. There's also men's action from Val Gardena. There have been plenty of changes because of the lack of snow and warm temperatures. It seems to be improving slowly. So if you want to know exact details of what's going on where and when, and by when I mean either with the changes that have come and where, obviously you have a choice of Eurosport 1, Eurosport 2, British 1, British 1, British 2, and the Eurosport player. The very best place to look is, of course, our excellent website, yahoo.eurosport.com. Head to the website, click on TV Guide, and you can find out exactly what's going on with our unrivaled coverage of winter sports. We've got the cross-country, the Nordic combined, the ski jumping as well this weekend coming up, and plenty of other stuff to keep you occupied. yahoo.eurosport.com. Click on TV Guide, and you can get a full lineup of what we've got coming your way for the next half a dozen days. Well, this has been a cracking contest so far. There are 4 women left, 4 men left in the parallel slalom here in Montafon. Waiting for the racers to emerge into the start huts at the top of this course here in Montafon. Thankfully the rain has eased up. Still drizzling slightly, but it's not as heavy as it was. We've reached the semi-finals of both the men's and the women's competitions. So the winners of the semis will go through for the chance to race for first and second. The losers will battle it out in the consolation final. Right, we're ready to go back to the top, and the first semi-final sees Hilda Katrina Engeli of Norway take on Amelie Kober of Germany. And they're getting shielded with the umbrellas at the top of the course just to try to keep the riders dry. The course is still undergoing a few repairs. Deep ruts have formed after the riders, particularly the men with their heavyweights, have cut through the snow. The women are just waiting for the repairs to be complete, and then we'll get the first semi-final, Kober against Engeli, followed by Sabine Schurfmann's race against Alina Zavazina. A German, a Norwegian, an Austrian and a Russian about to do battle. Let's head back to the top. Amelie Kober wears number 1. She's in the red course. Hilda Katrina Engeli of Norway with number 12 in the blue. Single race format for a place in the final. Kober of Germany in the red course, off to a good start. Hilda Katrina Engeli has been impressive so far. The Norwegian rides in the blue course for this first semi-final. And they are synchronized at this stage. A mirror image as the two riders make it turn for turn in the middle part of the course. Kober of Germany just in front now, but it's not very much in hand, and she takes it by 1600ths of a second. Amelie Kober makes her way through to the main final. The German will ride either against Schurfmann of Austria or Zavazina of Russia in the final. Their semi's coming up shortly. For Engeli, it's the consolation round, the so-called small final for Hilda Katrina Engeli. Back to the top. Sabine Schurfmann of Austria taking on Alina Zavazina of Russia. Schurfmann wearing number 3 in the red course, and they're racing. Last chance for the host nation to get a crack at victory here in Montafon. The mist has returned, visibility tricky, and the ruts are hard to distinguish in the flat light, but Schurfmann's doing a good job so far as Zavazina attempts to get back on level terms. Sabine Schurfmann just about keeps herself in front, but here comes the Russian. Can Sabine Schurfmann hold on? Yes, she can. Sabine Schurfmann can finish no worse than second today. Amelie Kober awaits for Sabine Schurfmann in the big final. Hilda Katrina Engeli will go against Alina Zavazina in the consolation round. 2 races to go for the women, and Austrian hopes remain in the shape of this rider, Sabine Schurfmann. There's one Austrian man left in the contest as well, Benjamin Karl. We'll see him shortly. And there he is, back at the top of the course, Benny Karl. Looking pretty relaxed at the moment. So confirmation of the lineup for the 2 finals. The small final, the consolation round, is Engeli against Zavazina. Then the main event sees Kober against Schurfmann. That's coming up very shortly. 2 more semi-finals to come from the men's contest first. Confirmation of the lineup for the men's semi. Zan Kozier goes against Mirko Felicetti, and then Benjamin Karl races against Roland Fischnaller, the Italian. Felicetti of Italy in blue. Kozier of Slovenia in red. The Olympic silver medalist against the rising star of the Italian racing squad. There's the Slovenian Zan Kozier. He's just marginally behind Felicetti. Then Felicetti had a big skid sideways and had to fight his way back onto the ideal racing line. Zan Kozier has looked solid from start to finish and takes the win. Zan Kozier through to his second final of the week. He lost out to Roland Fischnaller on Tuesday. He might get to have revenge over Fischnaller, who's in the next semi-final, but it's Zan Kozier who's first to take his place in the final. Mirko Felicetti will have to settle for the consolation round. Second semi-final coming up. Who will face this man? Zan Kozir, the Olympic silver medalist, on cracking form. Benjamin Carr staring down the hill. Shortly he'll turn, high five with his coach. There we go. That's part of his routine. And now he's ready to race. His opponent is the World Cup leader, Roland Fischnaller, who won in Carezza on Tuesday, the Italian. Last of the men's semi-final. Benjamin Carr of Austria, Roland Fischnaller of Italy. And Carr made a cracking start there. Heaved himself out of the gate and got stuck into the pattern of turns here in Montafon. Benjamin Carr is riding beautifully, the Olympic bronze medalist. But Roland Fischnaller has already tasted success this week and wants more. Carl trying to fight back. Carl on level terms. Fischnaller made a mistake. It's tight, but it's Fischnaller's win. 0.2 of a second, and we have a repeat of Tuesday's final in the men's event as Roland Fischnaller takes his place against Zan Kozir in the main final. Best the Austrians can hope for is bronze for Benjamin Carr as he takes on Mirko Felicetti in the small final. So 4 riders left in the men's event, 4 in the women's, but only 2 in contention for victory. It'll be Sabine Schöffmann of Austria against Amelie Kober of Germany in the women's. And then it'll be Zan Kozir of Slovenia against Roland Fischnaller of Italy in the men's. Confirmation of the way it's worked out here. The consolation round for the men is Felicetti against Benjamin Carr. So while we wait for the riders to make their way back to the top of the course, we'll take a break and then we'll be back with the last few races.
Christmas week on Eurosport and Eurosport 2. Alpine skiing, ski jumping and biathlon headline the live action. But there's so much more to enjoy as well, with all the major moments from across the Eurosport year, including tennis, snooker, motor racing, athletics, plus a winter sport review. That's Christmas week from Monday on Eurosport and Eurosport 2.
Than reaching the top of the world, the summit of winter sport. This winter, the destinies of hundreds of athletes are set to converge in the World Championships. Join expert mountain guides Didier Couche and Martin Schmidt. The trail is enlightening. The journey, spectacular. Winter sport, all season long, live on Eurosport and Eurosport 2, and also available live on Eurosport Player.
Welcome back to Montafon. We have 4 races to come. 2 finals for the women, consolation round and then the main event, and the same for the men. Austrian interest in the women's final in the shape of Sabine Schöffmann, but it's a repeat of Tuesday's final for the men's event with Zan Kozir of Slovenia taking on Roland Fischnaller of Italy. Can Kozir get revenge after yesterday's final run defeat at the hands of the Italian Roland Fischnaller? So the riders are just getting set to enter the start hut at the top for the consolation round, the so-called small final. It'll be Hilda Katrina Engeli against Elena Zavazini. The Russian against Engeli, the Norwegian. There's the Russian Engeli. I beg your pardon, Zavazina, the number 16. Absolutely drenched. some of the riders and coaches at the top of the course. Miserable weather conditions here. But what's falling as rain here will be much needed snow above about 2,000 metres and upwards. Last two races for the women's parallel slalom riders this week. Engeli against Zavazina, and then the main event, Cobra against Schöffmann. Can the Austrians get a home victory here? So the snowboard boots just getting tightened for Zavazina. Elena Zavazina in blue, Hilda Katrina Engeli in red. The ride-off for third and fourth position. And they're away. Zavazina against Engeli for third and fourth place. Valuable World Cup points, and quite a difference in prize money for third to fourth here, so it matters. And Engeli and Zavazina are head-to-head at the moment. Both make mistakes, and this is not over. Now then, the Russian made a massive mistake, but Engeli's was even bigger. And Zavazina, I think, has done enough. Engeli's a little disappointed. Zavazina takes third for Russia. Alina Zavazina on the World Cup podium here in Montafon. She's happy with that. Russian team disappointed on Tuesday when Natalia Soboleva was beaten in the small final by Nadia Ochner of Italy. But this is an improving result for the Russian team. Alina Zavazina, third place today. Well, that was the consolation round. Now we focus our attention on the ladies' parallel slalom, women's parallel slalom final here in Montafon. And it's a German versus an Austrian. Amelie Kober taking on Sabine Schöffmann. Goggle lenses being cared for by the coaches. Sabine Schöffmann just getting her lenses clean. Choice of colours, of course, to deal with the various conditions, but nothing can stop the rain. Schöffmann in the red course for Austria. Kober in the blue for Germany. This for the World Cup win in Montafon. In the blue course, Amelie Kober of Germany. In the red course, Sabine Schöffmann of Austria. They're ready, and for the final time, they're racing in Montafon. Kober made the better start. Schöffmann has already gone wide. Now Schöffmann settles into the pattern of gates. There she is, the Austrian riding through the ruts that have been left behind after all the previous races. Amelie Kober is keeping her balance solidly. No mistakes from the German. The Austrian and the German are synchronized now. This one's going to go right to the wire. Who's going to get the win? It's Schöffmann of Austria who takes it. And that gives great cause for celebration for the Austrian team and their coaches here. Sabine Schöffmann is the winner of the Montafon Parallel Slalom World Cup for the host nation, Austria, by 1600ths of a second. Just enough to defeat Amelie Kober of Germany. Sabine Schöffmann takes the congratulations of her teammates and competitors around the bottom of the finish area here. That was a terrific final. Sabine Schöffmann wins the parallel slalom in Montafon for the host nation, Austria, and the Austrians now love nothing more than victory on home snow. And that, to make it sweeter, is Sabine Schöffmann's first ever World Cup victory. She's never even made it to the podium before, so plenty to celebrate for Sabina Schuffman and her coaches here on wet Austrian snow. Confirmation of the final lineup and results for the women's contest. Victory for Sabina Schuffman, with Koba taking second, and third place to Alina Zavazina of Russia. Joy unbounded there for Sabina Schuffman as she takes her first World Cup win. We still have the men's finals to come. First of all, it'll be Felicetti of Italy taking on Carl of Austria for the consolation result. And then it'll be the main event as Zan Kozier rides off against Roland Fischnaller, the Italian who won on Tuesday in the men's final. They're ready to go in the consolation round first, a so-called small final. Benny Carl in red, Mirko Felicetti of Italy in blue. They're ready and they're racing. Can the Austrians add to their podium places now? They already have the victory for Sabina Schuffman. Can Benny Carr get on the podium? He's got to beat this man, Mirko Felicetti. Or Carl got thrown over the front of his board there. And Felicetti has ridden off into the wild blue yonder as Carl desperately tries to fight back, but it's too much to ask. And Mirko Felicetti continues a cracking week for the Italians. We've seen lots of that on Tuesday on home snow in Carezza, and again today in Montafon. The Italian coaches loving every second of it. Mirko Felicetti on the World Cup podium. Well, Felicetti held his nerve with the great Benjamin Carl hot on his heels for the first half. He needed to be fast and accurate, and he was. And the Italian coaches thoroughly enjoyed that moment as Mirko Felicetti takes third place here in Montafon. There's one race to come, and it's the main event as far as the men are concerned. A repeat of Tuesday's final on the parallel giant slalom course. Roland Fischnaller and Zan Kozier now do battle in the final of the Montafon parallel slalom. Will it be revenge for Kozier, or will this man, the World Cup leader, Roland Fischnaller, make it two in a row? The Italian versus the Slovenian. Kozier is ripping it up. Good speed through the gates, but Fischnaller is fast and strong, and Fischnaller is in control of this one. Fischnaller makes it two in a row. He wins on Tuesday and Thursday. Parallel GS on Tuesday, parallel slalom today. The golden double for Roland Fischnaller of Italy. Well, you feel a little sorry for Zan Kozier, unable to gain revenge after Tuesday's defeat. But this man is enjoying the time of his life. Victory on home snow on Tuesday makes the journey across to the Austrian Alps for double glory as he defeats Zan Kozier for the second time in 3 days. Maximum points for Roland Fischnaller of Italy. And as they did on Tuesday, the Italians get 2 podiums with Mirko Felicetti joining Roland Fischnaller on the men's podium here in Montafon. That's what separated them. Not much, but sufficient to give this man another World Cup win. Yes, more joy for these three. And there we are, another group hug for the Italian coaches. They can't believe what's going on. Italian success throughout the week. so, confirmation of the final results here. And it's a winning the big final for Roland Fischnaller. Kazir beaten again into second. Third place to Felicetti. Karl misses out for Austria. Okay, let's bring you up to speed with what else is going on, and it's a sunny day in Pokljuka, and biathlon is taking place there. You'll be in the company of Mike Dixon and Patrick Winterton, due off in under 10 minutes from now. So switch over to Eurosport 1 for coverage of the biathlon with Mike and Patrick from Pokljuka. And let's have a look at what's going on tomorrow as our winter sports coverage continues. We've got the team parallel slalom tomorrow at 10:40 Central European time, so an hour earlier for those of you in the United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland and Portugal. Team snowboarding, team parallel slalom tomorrow from Montafon. But for the moment, thank you for your company in a slightly wet and worryingly warm Austrian Alps, but it is due to get colder and snowier just in time for Christmas, and we're all dreaming of a white one. Thank you for your company. What a day for Sabine Schuffman, and another victory for Roland Fischnaller.